sometimes that's more the fault of the student than us. But, you know, at least I want us to feel like we have done everything we can do. And even in a horrible year, you know, this past May, with everything going on in the world, of the 50 people that graduated, 45 of them had jobs. And the 5 that did not, most of them wouldn't relocate, other issues of that sort. Anyway, but it all begins, you know, it all begins now. It all begins this semester, and it begins with the preparing for internship interviews. Now, let me just tell you, odds are not everyone is going to get an internship. We are certainly going to do our best to see that it happens, but we'll just have to, you know, to see how that works out number-wise, with exactly how many the banks are going to employ. They have some budget issues, some of the banks right now. All we can do is try. But I can promise that, you know, we're going to do everything we can do this fall, and even going into the spring, on giving you every chance possible to do one of our paid summer internships. And the typical financial arrangement, if your parents have asked, and, you know, so how would this play out? Typical arrangement, the banks expect you to pay for housing, but they also typically pay like $2,500 up front to help you kind of get relocated and help find a place. And then they typically pay $20 or a little bit more per hour. And you work a 40-hour week, 10-week internship. And so you can survive even in, like, you know, Boston or LA or whatever, with the compensation that they will pay. Okay? Anyway. And so I'm going to turn it over to a lady that I promise is going to be your best pal and friend. And when she tells you to do something, the correct response is, yes, ma'am. Okay? Don't, just, you know, well, yes, ma'am. Just whatever Jill tells you, right? I promise it'll be right on point. Okay?
Okay. All right. So this is not the class I talked to last week, correct?
That's correct.
It's not. Okay. So all you guys are juniors.
Just heard the definition of a trust last week.
Okay. All right. So you're getting into those classes now. We're just going to basically take you through what our normal trust season look like. That's what we've always called these weeks that we have banks on campus, that we've had people come to campus looking for 1 intern, 2 interns, 10 interns. This year it looks a little different. We are going to be doing everything virtually for the fall. We do have some banks that have already said that they are not going to come until spring because they actually prefer one-on-one interviews. And so with that in mind, they're holding out to hope to see if that can happen. But if not, I assume that'll happen virtually as well for those ones that are waiting till spring. That said, if you have a chance with some of the firms that are here this fall, I would suggest you go ahead and take it. Like Jimmy said, that we don't know how this is all going to roll out or what's going to be available. So if you get the opportunity to intern, I would take it. I would strongly suggest you take it and not just hold out for your dream. Many of you are probably, how many people are thinking about the 4-1 program too? Okay, so a whole lot of you. So next year's another year. If you're doing 4-1, you'll get the opportunity to do 2 internships. So you'll go through this again, and it'll look, I'm hoping, praise the Lord, that we have things in place by next fall, that we're not on lockdown and everyone wearing masks. So that said, we're all just going to work on this together. I'm Jill Williamson. I live upstairs on the 2nd floor. If you guys need an appointment with me, I've got my information here at the very end of this that I can give you guys. You've been getting my emails. So if you want to reach out to me, just one-on-one and have me look at something for you or ask me questions, I'm there. That's what I'm there to do. So you just let me know, and I'll do my best to help you with anything you've got questions about. I came up with this nice little booklet. Actually, did any of you work with Miss Lisa before she left? You know who I'm talking about? Okay. Miss Lisa, I have big shoes to fill because Lisa Grateful was awesome. She was an awesome person at this job, and she and I are very dear friends. And so I still communicate with her in France often. But she did a really good job of kind of setting things up that hadn't been done before. So I kind of took her lead from that. I have a booklet. It's like 24 pages of every single thing you would want to know. It's a lot of things we're going to talk about: writing resumes, or about networking, or doing a LinkedIn profile correctly, doing digital interviewings and phone interviewing. So if anybody wants that, I've got that to share with you. You can just reach out and say, hey, can you shoot me a copy of that? It's probably not a bad thing to do for anybody, just to have it all in one place. But these things that we're going to go over today really do impact you guys specifically, because you are dealing with people that are used to dealing with certain candidates of a certain caliber. You're going to be handling people's money, and they need to trust you. So that's what we're going to speak to specifically about, what banks and firms want to see from you guys. Okay? All right, so we're going to start out. How many people know what See You Hired is? Okay, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. If you don't know, I did have a recording of that as well, and we're going to put that up on the website this week. I think actually she put it up today, about navigating See You Hired past the just, here's your profile, here's this and that. Why it's important to you guys specifically is because that's how these banks and people come in and they'll schedule these meetings with you guys. So it's very important to have your correct GPA on there, or updated, nice looking resume on there, so they can look at you, and the day that they come, or the day, if it's a virtual event, the day we have it all together in one place, so that you can they'll go through your information to the next interview, to the next interview, to the next interview. So have any of you put your resume on See You Hired yet? I've gotten a few people's resumes, but this group was supposed to have it turned in by Thursday. Maybe you're waiting because you want to know how, so that's perfectly fine. But if you haven't, you're just going to use See You Hired to put your resume on. So I'll run through that with you too. And then I would like to have all those resumes to me by Friday. That's just a little flexible because we've got some wiggle room here, but I know you've gotten your headshots already and your bio submitted. That was supposed to be done by Friday. So, okay, so we're good. Just so you know a little bit about See You Hired and the putting your resume on, you're going to log into See You Hired with the same email account, except for the email.campbell.edu, and you use the same Blackboard password, if any of you haven't been there. Very cut and dry. You select documents, and then you simply upload your approved, or what's going to happen with you guys, because it's probably going to be the first resume you put on there, it's going to have to come through me to be okayed. So it's automatically do that. You put it on there, and I will look over it. If there's any suggestions I have for you, or it just totally looks not good, I will get back with you on that within like 24 hours, 48 hours. If all of you do it at one time, it may take a couple days to get through them all. But I'm just going to say, hey, think about this, or maybe look at past tense, look at your tenses. Do you have the right verb agreements? Are you using strong enough words in your resume that makes it attractive? I may suggest some things you can add if your resume is not quite as long as you would like it, but we can work through that in a few minutes. So we're going to start with that there. You're going to put your resume there, and there is in the See You Hired document library. It's under Tools and See You Hired, or Resources, I believe. There's a sample business resume. Specifically, it says sample business resume because it is for pretty much any business school student. It's just a really good format because you are not even, haven't even graduated from college yet, so it's not like you can just put all these wonderful work experiences and things like that. So we try to highlight other things that you've already accomplished before you got to Campbell and while you've been at Campbell, and really pump those things up. We'll go ahead and start. On your heading line, you're going to try to figure out whatever makes you attractive to that employer, whether it's you're bilingual, whether it's you're an Eagle Scout, or, as Jimmy said, if you're willing to relocate. It unfortunately happens a lot with trust that people take a job and they don't like being away from mom and dad, and they want to come back to North Carolina just as fast as little feet will carry them. That does not look good on you as a person. They invest money in training you and get you up to par. My minimum, I don't know what Jimmy says, but my minimum was like you should at least give any job you take 2 years. If not, you look like you're kind of a little bit flaky.
Let me kind of chime in there.
Yeah, you go ahead, Jimmy.
We're lucky enough to have friends in here who are from
everywhere. That's great.
But the vast majority of you are from North Carolina. And I'll just tell you, I love home. I love North Carolina. I no doubt you do as well. Love the family, all that good stuff. But you have just got to be willing to go where the opportunities are in life.
Absolutely.
And if you're not going to do it at 22, 23 years of age, you're not likely going to do it the rest of your life, because life gets a little more complicated once you get to the point where maybe you're married and kids and all that good stuff. I strongly encourage you to think about, look, I'm going to go where the best opportunities are. And, where I feel like the Lord is leading me to go with my life. And yes, they may talk a little different than we do in Boston or Austin, Texas, or Chicago, or whatever. But I will tell you, one of the greatest things to me about an internship is that you go to these places and you have a lot of these preconceived notions about what people will be like or life will be like in those, places. And you quickly find out, crap, people are just people wherever you go. Mm-hmm. And, home and family will never be more than a phone call or a couple-hour flight away. We've had students do internships, even multiple internships in cities far away, Beverly Hills, Austin, Texas, or whatever. And then it's time to interview for permanent hire jobs, and they, maybe that bank that hosted them in those faraway cities said, well, did you like the Beverly Hills office? Did you like Austin, Texas office? And they, said something along the lines of, oh, I enjoyed it for the summer, but of course I have no interest at all in ever leaving North Carolina. It's just like, boom, just, you just killed yourself there. I mean, job-wise. That's not fair to them. That's not fair to the institution. For you to take these internships in cities where you can't at least give it a shot of someday making that your world. Once you graduate from Campbell, okay, as Jill said, you may be placed anywhere. It could literally be Boston to San Diego, Seattle to Miami, and you don't have to be willing to go that far. At least give us Atlanta. At least give us Richmond. Give us something to work with. I can tell you one thing. We can't place 30, 40, 50 people per year in Raleigh, Blasted, North Carolina.
No.
Okay?
No.
Raleigh is, and the part of the triangle there is, it's a big city in a way, but it's also a very small place. And it's not a banking center. We might be able to place 3 or 4 per year in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. But sometimes we'll have students who'll take a job elsewhere, Atlanta, St. Louis, Chicago, wherever. And we find out that a year later, they have found their way back to Raleigh. And I talk to them, what's going on. Oh, I got a call. It was just the most wonderful opportunity. I just couldn't pass it up. I hated it so much because I really loved Atlanta. I really loved Austin, Texas. But I just couldn't pass it up. It was a wonderful opportunity. Just happened to be in Raleigh on Hillsborough Street. Okay? And I know the institution they were working for. I know the role they were in. I basically know what they were making. I know the career prospects that they would have had if they'd stayed and played the game well. And I know what they gave up. Not even just financially, but what they gave up career-wise to get back home. Okay? And so I'm not trying to beat you up on that, but I'm just saying, expand your horizons. Okay? And I can promise you that almost wherever you could be placed, it would be hard pressed to place you in an institution where there aren't already other Campbell graduates that are there. Mm-hmm. They will mentor you there. They will be wonderful friends and advocates and allies, for you there. They'll help you get used to life in Kansas City or Philadelphia or whatever. And I think you'll love it. And I think you are cheating yourself and you're cheating that institution if you don't start out with the mindset, I'm going to give this place at least 4 to 5 years. Because I'll be honest with you, you won't have figured it out in a year or 2 or 3. Give them 4 to 5 years and then at some point, 4 or 5 years down the road, if you do see maybe another location that you think, well, maybe that would be a better, not just to get back home, or not even necessarily to come home, but you're in Atlanta with Bank of America, and 4 or 5 years in, you think, heck, there's another area of trust work I'd rather be in. I'm going to post for the Dallas office, or whatever. Do it that way. And I promise, the people that have done it that way are the ones who by far have gone the furthest in their career. And when I say furthest in their career, it ain't just about the money. Okay? And it's certainly not up front. I know people that have given up wonderful jobs because of a headhunter. Now, a headhunter is somebody that the company is employing to go out and find talent. And a headhunter has found out about what a great job this kid is doing. 1.5, 2 years into their job with XYZ Bank, and they call them and they tell them about this wonderful opportunity, and it's paying $1,000 more, and they jumped. And it's like, you're an idiot. Okay? And I'm not trying to be cold or, again, it's their life, but just old age gives you a perspective that you just don't have yet. A career is a long time. And it's about building a career and building life experiences throughout that career and a network of associates and friends and so forth over that career. And you can have an amazing career. You truly can. We're going to have institutions of all sizes come interview. At this point, you may have a notion as to what area of work interests you the most. Oh, I'm going to be the next Warren Buffett. I am going to be the chief investor of the planet. Okay? Well, is investments really your thing? It may or may not be. Okay? Think about the focus of this program. Okay? And where you have an amazing advantage. And it's on the big picture stuff, trust and wealth management. It's not in investments. There are a gazillion investment managers out there. Some make a lot of money, most do not. Really focus on what you're studying in the program. Because what we're teaching you, that's where the demand is, the huge demand and huge opportunity. That's why in a normal year, banks like Wells Fargo and old school BB&T, SunTrust, many others over the years, Bank of America over the years, and so forth. That's why they would come here to interview for interns and permanent hires. And that's why they were willing to come here in the order in which we allowed them to come. Now think about that. That a Bank of America is willing to come here in the order in which we would allow them to come. Right? These institutions that any day they want to, they can recruit Harvard, Yale, you name it. They're coming to Bowie's Creek because y'all have a skill set that they don't have, that they can't find at these other institutions. Okay? And here I am dominating the conversation. I humbly apologize. But really, think big picture. Okay? And I will tell you, my bias is, I'll tell you, towards somewhat larger institutions. First Citizens are bigger. That doesn't mean any of the other institutions are somehow lesser. But my bias towards, and don't tell anybody you're in Witherspoon said, not knocking any institution. There are advantages and disadvantages to each. But I think overall, we go with a larger institution. You have more of an opportunity to find out what area of work is really you. Because you might start out thinking, I like that real estate management stuff. Mm-hmm. But you get into it and you quickly, well, maybe that wasn't quite what I thought it was. With a larger institution, there's more opportunity to specialize and find out what area of interest really is you. And also maybe there's more opportunity for training. Maybe there's more opportunity for growth financially and otherwise. Don't worry about any of that right now, but just be open-minded. Be open-minded about where you're going, about the whole relocation issue. Don't put on your resume or tell them, I'll go anywhere. And then when they offer you something in Atlanta, say, oh, I meant anywhere in Eastern North Carolina. Because Witherspoon's going to find you. And Witherspoon's going to go, I'm kidding. I'm going to want to. Okay? Be honest with it, right? And when you get to the interview and hear, gosh, Jill, I am so sorry.
It's fine, Jimmy.
You know me, just once I start talking, I can't stop. But these interviews, this is nothing to be scared about when you're actually talking with it, whether live or virtual. Most of the people interviewing you will not be in the HR areas of the units. Most of them are not going to be asking questions like, please rate the 5 most important experiences in your life, 1 through 5, and please explain your ranking. I think you're going to find that you're going to come out of these interviews, most of them, thinking, well, heck, that was just a conversation. We just talked. Most of the time, you're going to be talking to other trust people. a lot of the ones you'll be talking to are going to be Campbell Trust grads. And they're going to be trying to make you just as much at ease as possible, but they're very good at reading people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking for energy, they're looking for work ethic, they're looking for maturity, they're looking for people skills, right? If you're a rocket scientist on top of all that, more power to you. But, you know, that's the kind of things that they will figure out. I'm always amazed at how good they really are at reading people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the bankers that come through and interview, they see things in students that we do not sometimes, even students that we're lucky enough to be with every day. You know, they'll see something about a kid and then they'll think, God, they're right. That's exactly the area of interest that they probably should have with their personality and so forth. It's just amazing how they'll nail that time after time. Now, I'm going to shut up. Okay.
I'm just going to give you one thing from me on a personal note. I have 3 sons, and my oldest baby boy fell in love with a trust major, and she took him away to Austin. And they love Austin. They love Austin. She did her internship in Atlanta. She wanted a job at Wells Fargo that was going to train her to do real estate settlement, and she took the job that would get her there. And so he's right. Even as sad and upset as I've been that my people are in Austin, Texas, 19 hours away from me, there's wonderful technology. And I spent 2 hours talking to them yesterday. And so it is doable. She has no intention. She didn't want to come back to North Carolina. She's fine with that. So they're good. That's a side note that it happens. All right, so we're going to go from here. This would just be your information about how they can reach you. If you want to include your LinkedIn there, you can. If your LinkedIn's not real strong, I don't suggest it. Just the basic contact info is fine. But if you have something, like I said, that would set you apart, it's not bad to put it there, because we don't encourage these summary paragraphs of flowery language. It's like, let's just get to the meat of things and see what they want to see.
Contact info while I'm thinking about this thing. On your telephone number that you're going to list as your point of contact.
We were going to go over that, but yeah. No, it's okay. I know what you're going to say.
Don't have some screwball message on your voice.
No, do not.
Right?
Do not.
We had a kid one year this was their voice message. And one of the senior executives at Bank of America called to talk to them to make an offer. And so this banker who was over 4 different states calls him to make him an offer. And it went to, they made the call, and it went to, hello? Hello? Can you speak up a little bit? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Hello? Hello? That was his message. He lost his offer. Okay?
Yeah.
Thou shalt not do that.
Make sure before you put your stuff out there that we're going to talk about these things, but you are always need to think people are going to be looking at you from now on. If you're going to be putting your information out there, people are going to look at you. So we'll cover some more of these things.
If you think they won't look at your social media, you're mistaken.
This is true. This is true. All right, we're going to move on to education. Of course, you're going to put that you are working on your Trust and Wealth Management BBA. If you guys haven't decided to do 401, you want to put that on there, but when you do, we'll show you how to put that on there as well. If you have an above a 3.0, we encourage you to put it on here. If it's below a 3.0, let's just don't put that on there. Let's avoid that. Of course, your Trust and Wealth Management degree is also comes automatically with the minor in financial planning, so you're going to put that on as well. The next section we move to is what you've done as a community member of Campbell, because that's what we're really concentrating on. If you played soccer, they're going to be impressed by that you were on a team and you did your coursework and you were on a team. Scholarships, that may seem strange that you would put your scholarships on there, but what that does is just show them how much Campbell was willing to invest in you and money you made and saved before you ever came here. And so you put those, all that, you take them collectively and put how much money that's there, and that means something to banking minds. Yes, ma'am.
So put like the actual money, the actual.
Yes, you the scholarship and how much you did. Now you'll see on here that this says Jill M. Williamson Jill M. Scholarship. Do not do that. Do not paste directly off the screen and stick it there. You're going to need to put the Jill M. Williamson Scholarship. I'm sorry, I can't go backwards. I don't know why, but anyhow. If you've got honors, if you're in an honor society, if you are the dean's list, any of those things, you need to put that there under your education, under that heading. Then from there, you move on to your work experience. And yes, you hadn't had an internship, so some of your jobs are going to be part-time. I don't know if there has anyone that has 0 job experience. Okay, we'll fix you up. What you can do is we can talk about what you did before you came to Campbell, what clubs you might have been in, what volunteering you did. That counts as work experience. And if you don't have enough of, paying work experience, we can figure out how to boost those things up for you.
And make sure you go chronologically
backwards. Yes, you're gonna put your most recent information first, that you did a Wells Fargo internship, but you worked at Starbucks, or even if you worked from Starbucks from June 2015 to now, you put to present there. But definitely the things that are going to be eye-catching is what you did most recently, and then backed up from there. The skills section, I'm sorry.
How would you put something that, like, if you have a job, like, back home still, that you're still, like, on the payroll for, but, like, you're not really working?
You can put it, because if you just work there whenever you go back?
Yeah, so basically, like, they closed because of Corona, but, like, they just opened back up again.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, I haven't been able to work, like, pretty much all summer, but,
Yeah.
like.
You would just put the dates that you were, when it started, and then you just put to present. And there, I'm not sure what kind of job we were doing, but they understand that coronavirus, was it like a restaurant or
I
a
was working at a
children's, okay, something like that would have been affected with corona, so they understand. And you're not being misleading to put that, because you were working there and you would have still been working there as if not for corona.
And they know that y'all haven't worked at
Right.
JP Morgan Chase or whatever.
Absolutely. That they do realize that. They're not going to look down upon you or any of that if you've worked at Starbucks, or it doesn't matter. It shows you've worked.
McDonald's, yes. You ran the French fry machine. You were a food preparation specialist.
We can help you spin those a little bit. So, yes, ma'am?
So I graduated high school with my associates. Do I still put that under education?
Yes, you can put that there too. Yes, you can. Actually, what you'll do is put your Campbell information first. I'm so sorry I can't back up. I don't know why not. You put your Campbell information that you're currently enrolled in now, and then you'd put your high school and put that you graduated with your associate's degree from whatever community college, blah, blah, blah. And again, that shows that you went above and beyond in your high school career, that you already had that before you ever stepped into Campbell. So yes, absolutely do include that. And again, y'all, I know we're going through this pretty quickly, but if you want to help, one-on-one help, just let me know and we'll set something up. Did somebody have a question?
Yeah.
I know like a certain amount of like jobs that you should put on there, like you've done like a lot since you've been like in high school, like just jobs after high school, or like how many previous like jobs you can have on?
Okay, rule of thumb, you want to include the heading, your education, work experience, and then a skills section. That's what we're trying to do. You've got one page and it's real estate. That's how I talk about this. You've got to leave white spaces. You've got to make it easy where it's easy to read and people to decipher what you do, whether you use bullets. But yes, if you've got 10 jobs and one was the furthest one out was a dog walker, we can leave that one off. But if some people don't have any, some people have too many, I would take off the ones that were not relevant to the position. I've been helping some folks in the master's program actually, and they have been out, and I'm like, okay, you've got way too much. We've got to get this to one page. We only got one page. You guys are in college. You should not have a 2-page resume. So you just take off anything that will not apply to that position. So if you were child care worker, or if you, like I said, a dog walker, something like that, okay, well, is this really showing I had money management skills? Maybe not. If you had your own business that you owned, maybe yes, you would, even if it was high school and you did that and it showed you did that for 4 years while in your high school, you can say owned and managed company. But unless it's like you had a role in it and you created something from nothing, then no, I would not put those things there. In your skills, they really like to know that you know Excel. So the whole Microsoft Office suite. They like to know you know how to use social media. But there's also soft skills. And again, that little booklet I have, if you'd like me to send it to you, I'd be happy to do that. You can just be creative with that. You're a problem solver, or then you're in teamwork. If you are on a sports team, you should put teamwork. You have teamwork ability, because firms are going to be looking. They're even more than ever. They are collaborative places. They want people that know how to get along with each other. They want somebody that can be a critical thinker, think outside the box. Don't just like, oh, check, I've done that. You told me to do that. Okay, I'm going to check. They want to see some initiative and things like that you can highlight your soft skills as well as that you're proficient with Excel. You should put it on there. And especially if you don't have a lot of other things going on your resume, won't hurt to add those. Okay? All right. Now, you're going to have a separate page for references. It's not, don't put it on the back, the second page of your resume. It needs to be a totally different document. You've got your resume, you've got a cover letter, you've got references. You guys with the internship interviews will not have to have a cover letter, so I'm not really going to talk about that right now. That's more about when you start looking for your end game job. But they may ask you for references, and you need to use somebody that you've known for at least 3 years. You don't just go, hey, buddy, my friend I just met in class, can you vouch for me for this? You need to go to your advisor that you've been here this junior year. You've known somebody that can reference. You think about your clergy. If you go to church and your pastor has known you, think about people like that, or of course a manager of somewhere you've worked that knows your work ethic. But be very careful that you have done a good job and not made anybody mad at you, because they can make or break it. They can say, yeah, that kid was always late. I don't know why I put him as a reference. So you need to really think about those people that you want to use as references. And that's this little blurb here is saying that when speaking to an applicant's job reference, what they're looking for is to find out their strengths and weaknesses. So if you were late 3 out of 5 days a week, they want to know that. Or if, hey, it didn't matter what I asked them to do, they were on it, they were enthusiastic, that's what they're looking for, to find out about you. So they're not just confirming that you work there or things like that. They're actually wanting to find out about you if they go to the trouble of doing a reference check for you guys. Okay, so when you go to these interviews, even if it's a virtual interview, what you need to have with you and be prepared to have is 5 copies of your resume. Now, that was when we were meeting face to face. There literally might be 4 or 5 interviewers. And if they, for some chance, did not have your resume, it was not a bad thing just to have it right there handy to give them. Now, in the case of these virtual interviews, they're gonna have their resume on their end, and you're gonna have a copy, but you need to have a copy in front of you as well. Doesn't mean that you're gonna read off your resume everything that's there. You're just going to use it as reference, or maybe you forgot a date, or you forgot, what the thing was that you got the award for, the real name for it, so you just glance at that. You need to have a legal pad. I don't know if any of y'all have a pad folio. They're not that expensive. You need to go get a nice conservative folio, nothing with a big, huge logo. I mean, we all love Campbell, but maybe a bright orange one with Gaylord on the front is not the best choice for a pad folio. You need to have notes. If you are planning to have an interview, you need to research the firm. You need to know how big they are, how much money they handle, what their team's like, what their mission statement is. You need to have done your homework before you ever go sit down with those interviewers. And then you're going to have your own list of questions. There is nothing worse than you have an interview and the person at the end says, okay, do you have any questions for me? No, I'm good. No, you want to ask a question. What does success look like in this job? Can you tell me what a normal day would do? What would that be like at your company? And again, I have some sample questions in this book. I feel stupid now. I should just brought the book, gave it out, because keep referencing the book. But I will send y'all the book. It's a nice little handy book. Kleenex. If you got the drippy nose because it's seasonal allergies, just, dab. So anyway, no, can't really go wiping it on your sleeve, so Kleenex. And make sure your pen works. All right, so what we were talking about before, Jimmy brought up about your brand. What does everything that goes into making up the person you are? It's a different world than when Jimmy and I were interviewing. It was very cut and dry that you look like this, you asked these things, and you did this and that. You looked somebody in the hand, you looked them in the eye, and you shook their hand. We're not shaking hands anymore. We're probably not even fist bumping anymore. You just nod at them when you walk in if you actually get within 6 feet of them, right? So they have all these other ways that they're going to try to get to know you. And I'm not kidding about this, because we at the business school staff, anytime we start thinking about hiring a new staff member, we're a bunch of women. We go on Facebook and we stalk people. Not kidding you. Or we go on Instagram and see what they're putting on there is appropriate, because, and Kylie, I shouldn't tell you this, Kylie's one of our student workers. We did that to Kylie. Now she does. She's like, whoa, great, okay. So if you see someone they had a party, a COVID party, and they've got it plastered all over their Instagram feed, they're like, what idiots, why would you think that? So they don't want to hire you. Literally, people do this. I know you think, they don't take the time. They'll take the time. If you've got some silly voicemail message or that uses profanity in it, or anything that you think is cute and quirky, your email address. Don't use baby boy camel at such and so, or hot mama, blah, blah, blah. Professional. Because you think that and thought that was a good idea when you were 16, that was a cute one. No, that doesn't go very well. Jimmy spoke about the alumni that we have in this industry. That is why he is called the Godfather. That is why it's called the Campbell Mafia. Campbell rules the roost of trust. And because of that, you guys are getting into something that you've already got an established fraternal, it is like a fraternity. If they know you're from Campbell, if you're wearing your Trust Mafia pin or your little camel and it comes up, y'all already got a connection. And so you need to use that. But you also need to honor that. You need to honor that, because they have an expectation of what Campbell students do. And I'm not just saying that from our alumni. I have talked to various people from different organizations, and they are just so impressed by Campbell alumni, because we are a Christian university, and they expect quality people from Campbell. So you have to always be aware that you're representing Campbell, not just yourself. So on that, you want to say something to that? Here we go.
When we get into the season where you've had interviews and so forth, and when you get a phone call from a number you don't recognize, well, number one, y'all are horrible about answering your phones anyway. Answer the phone, right? There's nothing wrong with answering it, but just know that it could be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It could be a manager with a bank, and so, don't be grumpy or short or whatever when you answer the phone. Just kind of think, yep, this could be senior VP with Wells Fargo or whoever. And again, just relax. It won't. I promise there's nothing intimidating about this whole process or the people that you're going to be dealing with. They're just good. Trust people just are good solid folks.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. And but just, you got to be professional.
Mm-hmm.
And show a certain level of maturity in dealing with them. And as Jill said, we do a lot for you. But the expectation is that someday you're going to do a lot for us. And I don't mean financially. I'm not talking about giving money back to Campbell. If you can and do, that's a wonderful thing. But the way you can give back to us is 5, 10, 15 years down the road, when we call you and we say, look, hope you're enjoying life in Austin, Texas on the 60th floor of the XYZ building, making a gazillion bucks. It's time to pay back. And when I say pay back, I mean it's time to help the kids coming through the program then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we literally had 3 kids, I think it was last year, who, for whatever reason, needed to go to Texas. And I called 4 different members of the mafia in Dallas, and within 2 weeks, all 3 of those people were placed.
Right.
And they checked not only within their institution, but all their buddies and other institutions. It works. But there's an expectation that that you have a kind, giving heart, and that you want to help other people. Dr. Wiggins, who founded the trust program, this was his idea. He was Campbell's president for well over 30 years. And every time I would run into Dr. Wiggins on campus, and it was just the 2 of us, every time, and I ran into him a lot, his standard line was, Jimmy, what do you get when you educate the devil? That might seem like an odd question, but what do you get when you educate the devil? And my response every time, and what he wanted to hear, was, Dr. Wiggins, all you get is an educated devil. And it was his way of reminding me to recruit good people to trust. If they happen to be great students as well, one, got to have got to want to study hard and accept the fact that there's a lot to learn and all that good stuff. But just be a good person. Have a good, caring, kind heart. And really that's what this is all about. And that's, I know we're only a few weeks into this term, but of course I've known most of you now for well over a year and had the chance to talk with you when you come in, and maybe you started out in something else. And there's something in you I saw, and in every one of them. And, it's like, yeah, I can see this. I can promise there are a lot of people that I've talked to over the years where it's like, ooh, well, this may be bad. and there may be no knock on anybody else, but maybe a 4.0 student, but I can just see a huge ego or attitude problem, and it's like, this just is going to be a train wreck. And anyway, getting into stuff that maybe you're not here to learn today, but something that you need to know, something you need to hear. And the Campbell Trust Mafia is real. I mean, it really is. And when I say we do a lot of things for you, of course, we took you as freshmen, those of you who are trust majors like Angus Barn. Unfortunately, what are you missing right now? We always take the juniors to Pinehurst Country Club for dinner, and then we take the juniors to ball games and plays and all those things that we can't do right now. I'm going to make it up to you, I promise. Okay? When all of this good stuff goes away. But anyway, I'm going to shut up so that we can get back to what.
Okay. All right. So some of this may be uncomfortable, or you may go, that's crazy. I shouldn't have to change who I am. But again, people do make assumptions about you, about how you're dressed and how you look and how you act, and how you are dressed. So
That they are visualizing how
you fit
this person would relate to our clients.
Right.
Okay.
I know a lot of fellas have facial hair. It's better when you're interviewing to just give up that hair for, just give it up, shave it off. You need to have a nice, clean, nice hair, neat, everything put together, looking good. Don't wear really strong perfumes or Axe body spray, go crazy that morning. If you have tattoos, they need to be covered. If you have piercings, you need to take them out except girls have earrings, but if you have bars and things like that, probably need to take those out that day. Don't wear your hair in some crazy style that would be distracting from you. Your jewelry, your shoes, your bags for women, they need to be, I wouldn't even recommend taking a bag in. But if you're out, out in the world and you need to go, but you need to have something very conservative, very low key. You never wear short skirts. You never have plunging necklines. I think a lot of this, we understand all that. You don't wear shirts that's missing buttons, that are stained, or a tie that's got a stain on the middle of it, or even for that matter, a tie tack that's something funny that you think's funny, but bank person won't think's funny. So anything, I know it sounds like I'm saying remake yourself, but you just need to be no distractions. It's just you. It's just you. And an authentic you. Dark conservative suits. So for a male, that means a dark traditional suit. Starched shirt doesn't have to be white. It can be blue, light blue, but it doesn't need to be hot pink or purple or something really, again, distracting. Dark shoes and socks. Don't wear funny socks. My middle kid, oh my gosh, he has crazy socks, and I'm like, I can't believe you do that. Your teachers have to be so disappointed in you. Conservative tie, no facial hair. Nails, men usually don't like to, I guess, I don't know if you go get manicures, but you need to trim them up, make sure they're clean. Same with a lady, you would have a dark traditional suit. You can wear pants or a skirt, but it needs to be appropriate length. With a modest shirt, minimal jewelry, light makeup, dark shoes, and your hair in some sort of tidy hairdo, and neutral nails. Don't wear bright red, fluorescent pink. Just do clear or either a soft pink or something like that. Okay, so what I said before, you're going to prepare for your interview because the first thing you need to do is research that company, and you need to be aware of all their history, where they started, how they why do you want the role you're interested in? Even if you get in there as an intern and you thought, I wanted to go to Atlanta so I could learn about this, and you did not like it, that's okay. But that you need to communicate the reason you want that particular role is because X appeals to you, or I prefer I prefer learning about this is what I'm thinking of, and I really want to take that on and find out if that's where I belong in the trust industry. When you get the reminder, when you get the time for the interview, you're going to set a reminder on your phone or put it on your calendar. You're not going to miss it. I know that sounds like, duh, yeah, of course I'm not, but you could get days wrong. It has happened. We have had students either not show up or showed up when they weren't supposed to, when we're like, yeah, no, you just missed yours at 10. I thought it was at 2. No, it was at 10. Let me see if I can go sweet talk them to see you now, but they've already got that in the head. You can't keep up with what time you were coming, so this doesn't bode very well for you.
10, I'd be there at least 15 minutes early,
Mm-hmm.
because they may be running ahead.
Yep.
I would prefer to be 30 minutes ahead. And Jill's right, you do your research, and you may mention certain roles that you think interest you, but the way you don't want to word this in a way where you're boxing yourself into a corner, where it's like, okay, the only thing on the planet I'm interested in is doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll take you for your word.
Right.
And if they happen to not have an opening in that unit, they'll think, well, heck, that would have been a great hire, but they only wanted to do. I might word it something like, I truly am willing and open to doing anything. Right now, it seems like this and this interests me the most, but I'm truly open to almost any role, or to any role.
Right. The next slide is about mostly, of course, when you were going to meet someone in person, that you would walk and give them a firm handshake. Well, now you have to work on maintaining eye contact with the camera. That's been extremely hard for me. I can't help myself from looking down at the screen, and then my eyes are not looking at the camera anymore. But what you're trying to do is get a connection with them. So that's one thing I'll fill you in on, something we have coming up next week. I hope you guys will be very interested in taking advantage of it. But we'll move through the rest of the list. When you go sit down, you need to unbutton your suit button. Like, just out of habit, you just take it, unbutton it so that your jacket falls and you're not like, ooh, it's pulling the hair. Ladies, like this, if you've got your leg crossed like this, you just tend to start wagging that leg. So it's really better to take your ankles and cross them. Put your hands down. You don't need to, be flying around. I have a bad problem with that. I have that issue with my hands Tourette's. But you want to sit up straight, of course. You don't want to rock. You don't want to lean over. You don't want to hunch over on the table. And I think, honestly, in virtual interviews, that's even easier to do because you're just from here up. So you can avoid a lot of these things anyway. You can ask them if they mind you take notes. Of course, they're not going to, but if you're going to pull out a pen and paper and they see you starting to write some down, they're like, something just hit a nerve with them. They want to get back to that, or we're going to discuss that later. And then make sure before you leave or disconnect from the interview that you have their contact information, because you're going to want to send them a thank you note for the interview.
I know this is old school, but a
handwritten note
that you send through the U.S. Postal Service. Will impress them greatly.
Yes, what we normally recommend is that you thank them by email the same day, and by the next day you have a handwritten note going out in the mail to them. So I know that sounds like overkill, but it truly is. Again, we might be from a generation, but a lot of these people hiring you are from other generations. Just a thank you for my interview today, email's not quite enough. So that's what we recommend.
And an email, I think of it as a letter with proper, grammar and punctuation. It's not a text. The number of emails that I get from students in the course of a day where nothing is capitalized, there's no punctuation, which is fine if it's sending it to me, but you clearly wouldn't want to send that to
Right.
somebody that you've interviewed with,
Right.
right? Punctuation, grammar, think of it just like a formal business letter or communication, I would think. Spell check is a wonderful thing. Gosh, the number of times that has saved me, but just, and you know, it's hard to, it's easy to say and hard to do, but when you go in there too, you know, the eye contact and all, but relax and smile, right? I mean, just smile, be yourself. Cause you know, they're also trying to sell you on working for them.
Absolutely.
This isn't a one-way street. They're, you know, because there's that side of it too. They want to recruit you. And even if they can't do it right now, never know what's coming down the road. Or 5-10 years down the road. They're trying to make an impression not just on you for what's available now, but that you'll have good thoughts about them as you progress as well. Anyway.
He rests again.
I rest.
Okay. Now, working on your elevator pitch, I know you guys probably heard that term before. You're not necessarily going to use your elevator pitch in an interview. But where you will use an elevator pitch is where Jimmy was talking about taking you guys places. You need to have a statement prepared. I don't know how many times I've heard Dr. Creed give his. I almost can remember his. Don't know if you've ever heard Dr. Creed speak, but he just rolls up. It's that he's rehearsed it. He knows it, but it is genuinely him. It is what he's chosen to say in a couple of minutes that well represents him and his career and what he's and his mission right now. So again, we can come back to these things later, but this is when you're networking, when you meet people, you never know where that can lead. If you're at a ball game, please Lord let it be ball game soon again, right? But you bump into someone at a Campbell ball game, it's a season ticket holder, it's an alumni, you don't know him, but y'all start talking. Well, what's your major? You just need to have that prepared because you never know if that's the head of JP Morgan that just happened to come back because he just wanted to come into town and catch a Campbell game while he was here, because so many alumni are there. And it never hurts to be prepared to have that aha moment in a few minutes to let somebody know who you are and ask for their card or their information and say, hey, can I chat with you later? I'd love to hear more about what they do or how your firm works or what the potential hiring process might be there. It's not that you're begging for it, but it's just a good way to know how to express yourself about what you're looking for and your goal for your career.
Let me mention, and this year in particular, it's a different year.
Yes.
Okay. In the typical year, the internship window, we might have 12, 14, 15 institutions come on campus in the order in which we would allow them to come over about a 3-week period. Some might be taking 10, some might be taking 2, some might be taking 4. We always ask them to go ahead and make your offers whenever you like, but kind of a gentleman's agreement, which is truly amazing, but they all played the game well, right? They were always willing to do this. They wouldn't require an answer until the window closed, so that the last bank that interviewed would still have an opportunity to talk to everybody, with the thought that, yeah, we want to make sure that we get the kids that we want, but we also want to make sure the kids end up in the right institutions for them. Now, that ought to tell you something again about trust, because there are not many professions where these major corporations would play a game like that, because they'd be trying to lock people up as quickly as possible. But here's the thing, okay? However many we have coming in September, and Jill said in the spring, odds are we're probably looking February time period for kind of round 2. But odds are there'll be some of you that get an offer, right, within a few days, and they're going to give you X time period to accept. And so what do you do at that point? So you got an offer from Bank X. You're really thinking, well, maybe Bank Y is the one I would rather have. Again, they're going to give you a certain time period to accept. Bank Y is interviewing within that time period. Hopefully it will all play out well. Well, so you may end up with 2, 3 offers on the table at a given time. Completely up to you which one you're going to accept, right? That's your call. There's only one thou shalt not, okay? Once you have accepted, we had a student last year who verbally got another offer from another institution, called that institution they had verbally accepted with and said, oh, changed my mind. No. And they came in and talked about, well, I hadn't signed anything. Darn it, I don't give a rip whether you've signed something. You've given your word, right? I mean, your word is your word. And so once you have accepted, just know that that's it, right? That's the one thing that you can do in this whole process that would thoroughly tick us off, and that would be backing out once you have accepted. And that would include waiting until April to say, well, I know I committed way back in September to go with your bank in Minneapolis and this summer, but on second thought, I think I want to be a lifeguard one more summer. Mm-hmm. No, you can't do that. You gave your word. And also think about the fact that you cost another great kid that opportunity, right? So, you got to be an adult about this thing. And if it turns out that maybe hindsight, something else you think might have been better, but a lot of times too, it turns out that you did end up going with the right thing. A lot of kind of preconceived notions about one versus another might be wrong. But again, your word's your word. I don't want to hear anybody say, I didn't sign anything, so I was told I can do anything I want. Okay? No. Right? That's the one thing that's going to make Godfather very unhappy.
The other thing you don't want to do is ask how much you're going to get paid.
Don't worry about the pay.
In an interview. Do not ask until you have an offer. Until they offer, they're going to give you with their offer your compensation package, whether it's an interview, whether it's an internship or a perm hire. You don't ask them, well, see you later, but how much they're going to pay me? Don't do that as well. You can ask all these other nice questions I had talked about before about having something prepared, asking about how their company and how you're going to fit in it, but you do not ask how you're paid, and you do not, there you go. You get their card information, you write a thank you email that day, and then you write a handwritten thank you note that night and get it in the mail the next day. And then you wait to hear.
And when you wrap up, don't be afraid to kind of sum it up. That I'm looking forward to hearing back from you.
Absolutely.
And I really would love to have the opportunity to work for you.
This is what Jimmy was talking about. You do not take an offer and commit and change your mind. You don't talk about the conversation with other students or employees at the company you're with. And don't assume that if you do a bad job that they wouldn't say, hey, your internship's over, you can go back home now.
And Jill is a 1000% right. Thou shalt not talk about compensation, right? Even amongst your buddies and fellow classmates. You don't do that.
Mm-mm.
And once you get an internship, once you're actually there, right? It's the normal thing. What is an internship? Oh, it's a wonderful, eye-opening experience. Well, I hope so. But it's a 10-week long job interview. And so you be on time, you do your work. They're going to bend over backwards to make it's a good experience for you, but it is work. It's not just kind of sort of playtime. Again, they want you to enjoy it. You will. I promise you will. But you don't get involved in office politics. A girl with the internship on the West Coast one year, and the bank even gave her a car to drive while she was on the West Coast. And from time to time, these banks will roll over their fleet. It was time to roll over the fleet. And she wouldn't give the car back. She said, I like this car. And we'll give you another one. I'm not giving the car, but I heard about that for years. Okay? Because it all comes back to me. I want you to understand that.
It does come back. Whenever someone messes up, you're hurting the next person's chance. If they had a bad taste in their mouth because the internship they hired last summer quit working because the internship went remote, and they just kind of quit checking in, it hurts. I've had to apologize for that this year already, that we had a summer intern that didn't do a stellar job, and they are so impressed with Campbell, they are coming back again. They were so gracious and so nice about it, but it really does hurt the next class and the next class and the next class, and we hear about it for years about when somebody does something embarrassing.
If you finish the work they've assigned you, ask for more.
Yep.
Show initiative. If there's an opportunity to go out, ask them is there any chance I could go shadow an officer for a day? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But just show initiative when you're actually out there. Boy, that impresses.
Yep.
As it should.
Now, I only have two other things that I want to talk to y'all about today, because one is happening at 5 o'clock. I don't know if you got the email or you paid attention, but there is a workshop about being successful at your remote interview. If you can at all watch that, it is going to be from 3 very, very talented students that are all trust majors, and they are going to be speaking.
No.
Aaron and Blake and Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I asked them because that happened. I thought, you know what? There's a real need that if you have to go remote, when you thought you were going to go work in an office and it was going to be great and you were going to spend your summer in Austin, and then all of a sudden, wah wah wah, you're home doing it from your couch. Kinda. That won't cut it. We still have to be at a certain level. So I asked them if they would please speak to that today. If y'all need that web link, I can try to send it real quick. That's why I've got to kind of hurry through things. But the other opportunity we have is next week. I know it's short notice, but next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we are going to have virtual mock interviews. And you're going to be invited to go. We've set up this room over here on this corner of the building that's going to have a computer, a webcam, lighting, everything there, soundproofed room, so that if you don't have an opportunity or your roommate's playing his guitar and you can't be quiet, you need a place to go, there's a room here. If that room's busy, we can always do it in the boardroom. But I would encourage you, I've got a sign-up sheet, and I actually am opening it to you guys first, assuming that you guys are going to be the first ones with interviews this fall. So it's just a way to prepare yourself. These people they're alumni that have volunteered their time. They are just going to actually go through a quick 15-minute interview and then give you 10 minutes of feedback. And it's just going to go every 30 minutes that you go. And I would recommend, if you can't actually come over to Lundy, that will still sign you up and have someone talk with you, but I think it would do you justice to sign up for this and be prepared for that, because you never know what can go wrong. And these people, some of them work remotely entirely. Some of them are having to do it during COVID and have now switched their model of how they're handling things. I know, again, my daughter-in-law, she started working at Wells Fargo. She's still not set foot in her office. Still. They won't have anybody back till November. So you have to know, one, how to do the work, and two, how to interview to get the job. So both these things, like I said, one today at 5 o'clock, just a few minutes. And then next week, here is a sign-up sheet. I will let y'all look at it. If by any chance, like, somebody signs up for a spot and you absolutely want a certain spot, I can actually, I'll start here and help you pass that. I could probably make arrangements to have like double ones going on too. Because like I said, we have had some really generous, kind people that want to help you get prepared for this. And that was our best way to do it. So yeah, and there's my email address if you guys need it. And I know that's not a camel, it's llama. Isn't it cute though? So reach out to me if you need me. Here, Jimmy's here. We'll get you straight ready for it.
Nothing to be intimidated by, something
No.
you'll enjoy, but just, you gotta take ownership of this.
And actually what they want to see is an authentic, genuine person.
Yeah.
They don't want you to go in there and, they're going to put you at ease, because like he said, these people are trying to sell you their company as well. They want to get the best students there. They want to show you the way to do it. And so they're going to be gracious and merciful and not scary people.
Yeah. And I do hope you understand how unique your situation is compared to that of most other college students and most other majors at most universities. Last year, the juniors, they kept talking to their buddies who were at large state schools in North Carolina, and they were telling their buddies what all was happening for them and the chances that they were getting, and anyway, how Campbell was lining things up, and they couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like, they're doing what for you? So don't take it for granted, right? But let's go ahead and knock this thing out. Okay, let's thank Jill. And let's practice. Whatever Jill says, what's the correct answer? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
We are. I hope my
Y'all have
kids
a good
learn some
day.
lessons from y'all.